Hello everyone, I'm Mas Qureshi from LJ Institute of Applied Sciences. This is second of the three videos that cover Unit 3A of Chemistry Paper 301 from BSc Semester 5. That is nucleophilic substitution at saturated carbon atom. In this video, we are going to discuss two topics. First is the factors affecting the rate of SN1 and SN2 reaction, and second one is neighboring group participation. So let us start. In the previous session, we have already discussed the effect of substrate alkyl halides. So now we know that SN1 mechanism is highly favored by tertiary alkyl halide as it can form a stable carbocation, and it is not favored by primary and methyl halide under normal conditions. While SN2 mechanism is highly favored by primary and methyl halide, and it is not favored by tertiary alkyl halide because of high steric hindrance. If we talk about the secondary alkyl halides, then it can undergo either of the mechanisms depending on other parameters like solvents and selection of nucleophiles. So now let us understand the effect of other parameters, starting with effect of leaving group. Both SN1 and SN2 mechanism require a good leaving group. The better the leaving group, the faster the rate of both SN1 and SN2 reactions. Because in both of the cases, cleavage of carbon and leaving group bond is involved in rate determining step. The best leaving groups are the weakest base. As they are less basic, they can be easily replaced by highly basic nucleophiles. If we compare the halides in terms of basicity, then fluoride ion is highly basic and iodide ion is least basic. So we can say that iodide is a best leaving group and fluoride ion is a poor leaving group. So if we allow these alkyl halides to react with hydroxide ions under any of the SN1 or SN2 condition, then we can compare the rate of the reaction. As fluoride ion is highly basic, it is less reactive, so rate of this reaction is slow. While iodide ion is weak base, it is most reactive, so the rate is highest. Next factor is effect of nucleophile. To understand this aspect, once again we have to remember the rate expression of both these mechanisms. In SN2, rate is depending on the concentration of nucleophile, so increasing nucleophilic strength will increase the rate of the reaction. While in SN1, rate is not depending on the nucleophile, so increasing or decreasing the strength of the nucleophile will not affect the rate of the reaction. In order to follow the SN2 mechanism, the nucleophile should be stronger. Then only it can directly attack on the substrate rather than waiting for the formation of carbocation. On the other hand, a weak nucleophile is sufficient to carry out SN1 reaction because here the role of the nucleophile is just to attack the carbocation which is already formed in step 1. So here less effort is required from nucleophile, and even a poor nucleophile can also complete this task. So finally it is clear that SN2 requires strong nucleophile while SN1 is carried out by poor or weak nucleophile. Now last factor is effect of solvents. So first let us get some quick glimpse about the solvent to properly understand this concept. We know that there are two types of solvents, polar and non-polar. In non-polar solvents, net dipole moment is 0, while polar solvents have some net dipole moment, so mu is not equal to 0. So they are having some partial charge. Now polar solvents can be further classified in two categories, protic and aprotic. A solvent having a labile hydrogen is called protic solvent, where the hydrogen is directly attached with the highly electronegative atoms like oxygen, nitrogen and fluorine. So that such hydrogens are having delta positive charge and they can easily undergo hydrogen bonding. While the solvents in which hydrogen is not directly attached with electronegative atoms are called aprotic solvents. So if in such solvents even the hydrogen is present somewhere, it cannot undergo hydrogen bonding because it does not possess that much delta positive charge. It can be understood by looking at the acetone molecule. Here we can see 6 hydrogens at terminal carbon. But as they are not directly attached to the electronegative oxygen, they do not have a significant positive charge. so that they cannot undergo hydrogen bonding. Now, as we are familiar with different type of solvents, let's see the effect of solvents in SN1 and SN2 mechanisms. So first, look at the both mechanisms. Here, we are mainly dealing with the charged ions or the substrates that possess some charge, so it is clear that polar solvents are suitable for both these mechanisms. But if we talk about polar protic and aprotic solvent, then protic solvent is suitable for SN1 reaction and aprotic solvent is suitable for SN2 reaction. Let's see the reason. In SN1 mechanism, rate determining step involves the formation of carbocation by removal of negatively charged leaving group. So both the ions can be stabilized by solvation. If we take water as a solvent, which is highly polar protic solvent, then the carbocation will experience the electrostatic force from ion pairs of electronegative oxygen. So basically, this oxygen can easily solvate, or we can say stabilize the carbocation. So stable the intermediate, lower will be the activation energy and faster will be the reaction. Now, the leaving group that is negatively charged is solvated by the delta positive hydrogen atoms by hydrogen bonding. So here, the protic solvents are able to solvate both negative and positive ions so that they promotes the ionization of the substrate. Here, the transition state can also be stabilized by using polar protic solvents. So in step 1, this would be the first transition state that induces the formation of ions. Here, carbon acquires delta positive charge and the electronegative leaving group acquires delta negative charge. So here again, the oxygen will stabilize the delta positive carbon and the delta negative leaving group will be stabilized by hydrogen bonding. As the transition state is stabilized, the activation energy will be decreased and the rate of the reaction will be increased. Now, if we use the same protic solvent in SN2 mechanism, then what will happen? Unlikely to SN1 reaction, here in SN2, nucleophile initiates attack on this polar substrate before the leaving group is removed. So the transition state is comparatively less polar than the nucleophile, because in transition state, the negative charge is dispersed over nucleophile and the leaving group. So here, instead of transition state, nucleophile will be solvated by hydrogen bonding. Let us understand it by taking an example of potassium fluoride, where fluoride ion will act as a strong nucleophile. As the solvent is protic, K plus will be stabilized by lone pair of oxygen, while the fluoride ion will be stabilized by, or we can say solvated by, hydrogen bonding. So here we can imagine a shield of the protic solvent that will restrict the nucleophile to interact with the substrate. Or we can say protic solvent weakens the strength of nucleophile. As the rate of SN2 reaction is depending on concentration of nucleophile, once the nucleophilicity is decreased, the rate will also decrease. Hence, polar protic solvents are not suitable for SN2 mechanisms. Now, if we replace this protic solvent with aprotic solvents like acetone or dimethyl sulfoxide, then the rate will be increased. Let's see how it is happening. Similar to protic solvent, here also cation is solvated by delta negative oxygen atom, but unlikely to the protic solvent, it does not solvate the fluoride ion. Though we can see the delta positive charge on the carbon atom, so we may assume that it can stabilize the anion. But actually, such interaction is not happening because this delta positive atom is sterically crowded. So as a result, here we got the free fluoride ion that is strong enough to directly attack the substrate. So now it is clear that polar aprotic solvent does not solvate nucleophile, so the nucleophilicity is not decreased and nucleophile can strongly attack the substrate. Finally, we can say that polar aprotic solvents are suitable for SN2 reaction. Now, once again look at the SN1 mechanism, the second step. Here also nucleophile is involved, so you might be thinking that this nucleophile can also be solvated by the protic solvent. Yes, it does solvate the nucleophile and it does decrease the nucleophilicity. But as we know that rate of the SN1 reaction is not depending on the nucleophile, it will not make any impact in rate of the reaction. And as we have seen earlier, a weak nucleophile is sufficient enough to carry out the SN1 reaction because it just have to attack on ready-made carbocation. So now it is clear that by changing the solvent, we can change the path of the substitution reaction. So next topic is neighboring group participation, which is also known as enantiomer assistance. The neighboring group participation explains a very unique mechanism of nucleophilic substitution. During nucleophilic substitution of certain substrate, it has been observed that the rate of the reaction is greater than expected, and if the reaction center is chiral, then the configuration is retained. It is not inverted like in SN2, or it is not racemized like in SN1. Such unusual things are observed only when the atom or group having lone pairs of electron is present within the molecule, which can displace the leaving group from the backside. Generally, these groups are attached at the beta position of the leaving group. The common structure of such molecule can be written like this. In this mechanism, the neighboring group is getting involved in the nucleophilic substitution, so that the phenomena is called neighboring group participation. This mechanism is consist of two consecutive SN2 reaction. So first SN2 reaction will cause inversion of configuration, and the second SN2 reaction will again cause the inversion of already inverted configuration. So finally give the retention of the configuration. So this is the reason why the configuration is retained in this mechanism. So first let us understand the general reaction, and later on we will look at the stereochemistry. Here, the first step is intramolecular SN2 mechanism, where the neighboring group is acting as an internal nucleophile, and it will attack the carbon at the reaction center from the backside of the leaving group to give the cyclic intermediate, that is usually a cation. Now the second SN2 reaction takes place by external nucleophile from the backside, and the unstable bond between carbon and neighboring group is broken. Here we have to understand that to neutralize the charge, the neighboring group will abstract some electron density from both of the carbons, and these carbons will become delta positive. If the molecule is symmetrical, then the external nucleophile can attack on any of these two delta positive carbons to give two isomeric products. So from this reaction, we got the idea that there are two conditions to carry out this reaction. The first point is the neighboring group must have electrons to form extra bond. These may be unshared pairs on atoms like sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen or halogen, and also pi electrons of double bond or aromatic ring. Second condition is the neighboring group must be present at the opposite side of the leaving group so that it can undergo SN2 mechanism. If the leaving group and the neighboring group are in the same side or the same direction, then neighboring group will not participate in substitution, and the leaving group will undergo simple SN2 reaction by external nucleophile. Now let us understand the stereochemistry of this mechanism by taking an example of R2-bromopropanoic acid that is having a chiral center. In step 1, the base will simply abstract the proton from OH to give carboxylate ion having negative charge on oxygen. Now this electron-rich oxygen will act as an internal nucleophile, and it will attack the chiral carbon from the backside of the leaving group to carry out the first intramolecular SN2 reaction. As a result, we will get a cyclic intermediate. So now just look at the configuration. It is inverted from R to S. In next step, the external nucleophile hydroxide ion will attack on the same carbon from the backside of the CO bond to carry out second intermolecular SN2 reaction. Finally, in step 4, the negatively charged oxygen will abstract the proton to give the final product. Now again, look at the configuration. Again, it is inverted from S to R. So overall, if we just look at the configuration of starting material and the product, then both are having R configuration. So it is clear that there is a retention of the configuration. So before concluding, Let us see the most common example of NGP, that is hydrolysis of mustard gas in water, that cannot be justified by simple SN2 reaction. Here, both the terminal chloride ions are replaced by hydroxy group by following NGP mechanism in the following way that we have already discussed in the previous example. So just go through the mechanism. Here, one thing must be remembered, that the rate of this NGP mechanism is much higher than the rate of SN1 and SN2 mechanisms. So we are done with this session. Thank you.